It's really interesting because, like I said, I love movies. So, and I was born in California, raised in Arizona, and then I moved back to California. And I literally just head right to the studios. I was like, I'm going to work at the studios. And then I wanted to become a storyteller, but because I didn't have the education, people used to always tell me I would never do it. I would never do it. I really want to bring back laughter. It will all have my vibe or my energy in it, but it's all family entertainment, good stories, uplifting people, ups and downs like real life. Our bodies are little magical machines and our minds are too. So it's like, now, how do we harness that energy to keep us into that type of energy as most as possible? And I wasn't going to my choice was to lay down and die and go do just go into the sunset and nobody ever see me again, or to find my voice and say, no, I was right.
Welcome back to Abed Podcast. This is episode 22. Here in Abed Podcast, we bring you guests from around the world to share their experiences, insights, and maybe this insight you can implement it in your life to improve it. Today's episode's guest is coming to you from the United States, from Los Angeles to be specific. Thanks to the technology, we have tested it with you guys in 2024, which has proven that we can break the boundaries in this podcast. We are sitting down with someone who has turned her life deepest struggle into a mission of hope, healing, and transformation. Today we're gonna meet Gina. She's an artist, author, speaker, and media, I would say executive, but maybe she would correct me, who have dedicated her life to help others find the light sometimes, which is required for you to keep your hope in this life with all the struggle around. So she dedicated her life to help others to find the light even in their darkest moment. Through her books and some impactful programs and genuine storytelling, and this is we're gonna talk about it today. Storytelling, it's a gift. Gina has inspired a lot of people to face their challenges. One of them is the suicidal intention. Embrace energy healing as well, and live with purpose. And this is the thing I was telling you guys in this podcast. You have to have a purpose in life. You have to have goals that drives you forward. So her work is deeply personal, and sometimes you need to take it personal so it resonates with you. And her journey is nothing short of extraordinary. This episode is not about stories. It's about connecting and discovering some ways to help yourself first and help others around you. So grab a cup of coffee, make yourself comfortable, and let's dive in this conversation. Gina, welcome to Abed Podcast.
Thank you for that lovely introduction, and hello to everybody who might be out there right now. Sending you a big warm hug.
Thank you. For the people who doesn't know you, please introduce yourself to our audience.
Thank you so much. My name is Gina Cavalier. And just as our lovely host was explaining to you, as we all have gone through an incredible journey through some of the darkest times, I had to decide, am I going to stay here or am I going to figure this out? And luckily, I decided to figure it out. And it took me on a 15-year journey to uncover just the darkest of holes and how I could lighten them up. And then I started to want to share it with the world. And that's what led me here today with you guys.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to have you here, and thanks for the technology again to make the spaces shorter for us and see you here. I mean, through the Zoom call. Before we start the discussion, how are you guys handling the LA fires?
It's unbelievably tragic. And, the world constantly has ebb and flows of tragedy in one form or another.
Yeah.
And I believe that we're deeply a collective of energetic spirits that are always working together. And, we're working through some bumps, and that everything has been turned kind of upside down, our industry. But we were kind of like really settled for a very long time. And, you just seeing things are changing. And I think it's a part of it. Even if there was a fire, it seems like it's outside of our our human essence, but it's not. We are of the energy. So we're going through a giant transformation.
Absolutely. Even Donald Trump, he have mentioned, I think he pointed at one of his guests during the inauguration, and he said, "You guys, you've lost your houses, so, and they are now homeless to a certain extent. I'm sure they are not homeless; they have several houses, but again, the loss is great." And this is one of the things, one of the dark sides that we have been talking about it. Gina, your journey is deeply personal. You have chosen to share it, and sometimes sharing it takes courage, because people sometimes they shy away from sharing their struggles, and sometimes they just bury it. And it takes a lot of courage to be open and share it with people. What gave you that courage to turn your struggles into something inspiring others?
Well, first of all, when you find out something that feels like a key to the universe, you just want to share it with everybody, right?
Yeah.
And when you get to the other side of healing, you are embodied with love, first self-love, and real love, not just the word love. I mean, literally like feeling it from the inside out. And when you heal an old wound that's so deep and broken, and you thought it was never going to be healed, you want to shout it out the mountaintops and said, yes, you can actually live a life that's the way that you prefer it, but you do have to go through the mud, and I have a chapter in my book about like the lotus flower coming through the mud. And I love that visual, because that lotus flower has to work really hard to push its tiny little leaves through the mud. And it's basically the same thing we're doing. We're choosing to live the life we prefer, but we're going to have to get through some hard things. And that's really taking accountability, looking at all angles of ourselves, even seeing our past as, our privilege to learn those hard lessons, our privilege to see how strong we are. Because when you get on top of that mountain after you've gone through all the hail and been beaten, and you get to the top, you say, oh my gosh, I'm way stronger than I thought I was. And now you just want to bring others into the loop so they can find inspiration to do it for themselves.
Absolutely, and this is what we have common. Even in Abed podcast is the three pillars that we try to help people and to shed the light through the stories and the experiences of the people. Me myself, I'm one of them. Is breaking the cycle of failure on the personal and relationship level, career life, and sometimes career life slash entrepreneurship, and plus the travel and how we can find how can I say, meaningful travel destination, that it can spark the enjoyment, the excitement. It will increase your awareness about what's going around, which will lead you to appreciate what positive that you have got, away from all the struggle that you faced it, which is deeply in this. But really, what is the one thing, if you're gonna put one thing today and you will say, this is the one thing gave me the courage, what will be?
First of all, my animals, because they gave me unconditional love.
Okay.
And it's really hard to find unconditional love in this world.
It's true.
um, so I had to fight for them. But really just my spark, my soul spark, that thing that was inside of me, that little girl inside of me, I didn't want to let her down. I fought to get where I was already. And I was going to say, are you going to give up? And it was like an internal war. And I had to go to the parts of me that were the light and just had this spark. And I had to, hug that light and bring it to the forefront.
One of my guests in previous episode, he mentioned that. He said, Abed, sometimes you will have that inner voice inside you, waking you up on the middle of the night and remind you what is your message, what you need to deliver to this world. And this is something that I struggled with. I didn't say I struggled with it, but there was a lot of fights during the years until AbedPod came to life. And I think this is the final message that I need to deliver it. Well, you wear so many hats: an author, artist, media exec, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, and more. There's two angles I want to ask you about this.
Okay.
What those hats gave you as a person to add to your success, to add to your experience dealing with people. This is one element. And second one, how do you stay grounded and focused while juggling around all these responsibility?
Okay, thank you for those questions. So, you know, when we're unpacking our life and we have, I always say that we're just trauma people working with trauma people. We're kind of all traumatized, right, in our own little thing. But it just feels like it's only us for, a big period of our life until we really do unpack it. And to
Mm-hmm.
realize that we're one and all the same, we're all suffering at some level, and bringing in that compassion. It's a game changer because you open your awareness to all the possibilities. And when you do that, you can recognize that you have inherent themes and gifts within you, and you really just need to lean on them a little bit more. And what I mean by that is, even though when I was in the industry, yes, I'm a media executive. I worked at Warner Brothers and Disney and for Netflix and all these other, that was the area I was born into, movies and television shows raised me because I was kind of neglected and just put in front of the 7 channels I had in the 70s. But the stories opened up my mind and gave me inspiration to see that another world is out there for me. And then I wanted to become a storyteller, but because I didn't have the education, people used to always tell me I would never do it. I would never do it. But
Yeah.
inside, I just had this feeling, but I want to. So I had to fight between what I felt was an inherent gift, and everybody telling me that would never happen. But in that journey and finally getting to that seniority and that strength in yourself to say, no, I'm going to do this. You don't have to like it but I'm not accepting the judgment. I'm not accepting your criticism, and I'm doing it with grace, go on your way. So, that lightens everything up for you. It just to, realize that.
Because I'll tell you why. Although I live in UAE, Dubai, but for me, I'm considered as an expat here. So sometime, and I work with a lot of corporations before I moved to my own business. Believe it or not, HR sometimes you used to give me hard times when they say my resume that I've been working for 2 years here, then I moved, and I so on, and always that a question like, why you keep jumping from a company to a company? So that's why I said wearing multiple hats sometimes it backfires on you, or like it's a double-edged sword. So working on the media 15 years, what was the reason for you to quit that?
Well, this is really a specific journey that a soul decides to take.
Okay.
And society has programmed us in a way that you should do this and you should do that,
Yes.
and you should this and you should, and then you should, and the light that they expect that you to go. But life is not like that. Life is an ebb and flow, and we all have different adventures. And I chose a life to have adventure in it and to have many different experiences. I just naturally get bored with, if I was to have done one job, and some people are great at just doing one job their whole life. That is their
True.
journey they chose to do. So appreciate where they are. But some people are like me, where I'm literally like, I'm a curious George. I would never just do one job. It isn't in my soul path. And when I unpacked who I was at the core, I realized it's okay to do many different things. And I
Mm-hmm.
used to get actually harassed a lot by people in my life because I changed jobs all the time. And they did tell me I was basically a failure. And I exactly know what you're talking about. And I
Exactly.
was challenged by that because and then I had to decide, do I take on their judgments and hold it in my heart, or just do what I want to do?
This is the Yeah, this is exactly why I mentioned it for you, because people here in this part, especially HR people in corporate environment, they will look at you that why you did not, if you claim that you've been successful at your career, how the company let you go after 2 years? And this is the question mark. They don't understand that, well, you know what, my ambitious is so big that it tells you that my next move actually is climbing the ladder. And this is that sometimes people fail to comprehend. And the problem is the person who keep moving companies, sometimes if he's weak, I'm sorry to use that word, but if he's weak from the inside, those criticism around him will knock him down.
Yep. I mean, everything to me is an experience. Everybody I get to work with, even everybody that you interact with is a magical magical thing, just getting to know that side of things, also to learn it. I feel like I've learned so many different things, and I apply that in my daily life all the time. That's why I can write a book about planet walking. It's a big topic, right? I know a lot about a lot of different categories. I've worked in a lot of different fields of business, and I feel like it just made me a better employee and a better human. And I'm learned. I can speak about a lot of different topics, with some authority. And I like that for myself. And not judging other people's journey is really important. And I always like to see what was the integrity behind everybody's decision, right? So if you say you're in one field for 2 years, but you really say wanted to get one piece, you really want to fully understand that one piece, and now you get to take that with you. If that was your intention and that's what you did, that's great. But if you're making the intention to just kind of like take the resource, you know what it means? What's the intention behind each action a person makes?
I'll make it easier for you, because I train people as well. I get some groups of people to train them, and I said many times, I said to them, I said, look, you can choose between two type of people, two type of employee. If you want to be an employee, you could be a person who click in, click out, does nothing in his day, and that's it. Your day is just passing time without any added value to yourself, to the society, to the company around you. This is exhibit one. You can either choose to be effective, to be ambitious, to do what you do best, enjoy what you do. There is nothing wrong by enjoying what you do in a daily life. And this is exactly one of my guests also on this podcast have been talking about it. And he reached to a director level in international company. And he said, Abed, there is nothing wrong with being happy as an employee if you succeed to climb the ladder and became rewarding for you. I said, I have never said being an employee is bad, because some people really do enjoy what they do.
Yes.
Think about it in the medical field, think about it in the sport field, and think about it even in the media. This is what I'll come to you later on that question. But really, people, they enjoy that. So there is nothing wrong being as an employee. But
what I'm getting at energetically, I'm feeling is to say is, but we should not judge other people's journey in the first place. Yes,
absolutely.
We have to make educated decisions, especially if you're in HR, right?
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying, look at the integrity, look at the energy of the person, look about like who they're presenting to you today, because that person today is not the same person last year or the year before or the year before, actually.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And those experiences, there's hidden experiences that aren't on our resume that you don't know what we're going through. And maybe it's made us a better person, and so that's the energy of what I'm trying to say is. And also, if we take the judgment out of someone's journey, it might not be the right decision for you or your company, but let them go with love instead of judgment. Just say, not the right fit today, wishing you well, instead of saying that, almost like pushing them out or bullying them out or telling them they're something that other than they are, which we're all just love and light. We all come in through a beautiful life. Is so beautiful. We come into the womb all about love, right? And we get into the world about love, and then we're constantly trying to find that love again. If we can just go back to that all the time as much as possible, it lightens you and the people around you. And it's a gift you can give to somebody. it not being non-judgmental towards people is a gift, like letting the world express itself in the way that it's supposed to.
My previous partner, I used to, we used to, how can I say, I wouldn't say argue, but sometimes, sometime in a situation that he start attacking certain person, like how you don't know this, how you cannot comprehend so and so, how you know these kind of elements. Then I stopped him. I said, look, be aware that if you are fortunate enough that you have been going to XYZ university, you have a chance to travel, you have a chance to meet with different corporation, you have different network, you have different kind of people, that you speak multiple languages. Those things, the other person there may be missing it all. So based on what you judge him is not an apple to apple comparison. So instead, try to understand, and this is one of the things I always advocate about it, effective communication. Understand the person in front of you. Listen to his story first, and then try to understand his situation. So I was victim of that, sometimes judging people, but I learned.
And we never know where we're going to be tomorrow, you know?
Yeah.
You can have everything. You can have everything one day. I mean, for example, my brother was in a motorcycle accident when he was 19, and it changed his life. He almost died, and he had brain injury, and boom, his whole life changed. So
There's a second chance.
You never know. So
It's true. It's true. Having a second chance, trust me, it's something that it opens. I have a very dear friend of mine. He had his second chance. Literally, he has his second chance. His heart was failing, and either he's listed for a heart transplant, but I told him, I said, listen, you granted a second chance. Use it. Don't be dummy.
yes.
So let's talk about being in the media industry, because going to Hollywood and working with Warner Brothers, being on Netflix as a media exec, it's the dream for some people. It's a dream. It's a daydream. Sometimes people with daydreams about it is the destination. If for everyone like seeks to be celebrity, being actor, so and so, and being discovered that he's the next Oscar winner. Give us a typical day in the office during that time.
It's really interesting because, like I said, I love movies. So and I was born in California, raised in Arizona, and then I moved back to California, and I literally just head right to the studios. I was like, I'm gonna work at the studios. And I just figured out my way. So I started at Disney when I was 19.
What was your role at that time?
I was in licensing and merchandising at Disney. And I had really good skills because I could type really fast. I understood like computers really well, and not everybody did at that time. So I had it in. I could pick whatever job I wanted. It basically.
Was that early 80s or
89?
89. Okay.
Yeah. And yes, I was like walking around the lot, like feeling like I was Snow White. You know what I mean? Just like, oh, like it was so like land, and I felt like I found my people and my career and my life. But there was, it's for me, there's two different sides. If you're on the creative sides where you're able to do what you love to create, that's the one side. So if you're making movies and TVs and shows or something, and you're a writer and you're doing your purpose, that's a whole different energy, right? But then if you go into the business side of things where I was, that's very corporate. So, and there's a hierarchy that you have to do, almost like, being in a royal family or something. And the energy is very thick and heavy, and it's very controlling, and it's hierarchical, and it's very judgmental. And the magic slowly starts to fade away a little bit, because they want you to be controlled, and they're trying to teach you, like, look, you're only allowed to paint within this box in the corporate side of things. And it creates a lot of conflict if you want to raise your hand up in a meeting and say something. When I was at Warner Brothers, I every Monday I would sit into it felt like I was in the boardroom of the presidency or something. It was like 40 executives every Monday morning, and only certain people could sit in certain seats, and only certain people could talk. And if you raised your hand and you weren't really, that wasn't really your job level, you'd get pulled aside and made to sit in a room and yelled at for hours without HR there. uh, Crazy things. And then you have, of course, the sinister side of things, that is coming out more, that people are starting to see. And then people not being too afraid to say anything about that, like the Harvey Weinstein being exposed.
Yeah,
So the thing is that we all love stories. It is very magical. I mean, when you see something put on screen, that's a whole journey with a whole bunch of people's lives putting that together. It's a wonderful thing. I love it. I love the industry, but there needs to be a transformation. And just like everything that needs to, that gets dark needs to be transformed. And that's what we're going through right now. So it's like a big giant wave that we all have to ride. But it's like if we just really get back to protecting the vulnerable, making sure the children are protected on set, things like
absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
Um, we will take that energy out and be able to really create again. And I think that's kind of what we're going through right now. We're going through a large growth period
Mhm.
to revolutionize the industry to where people can have a voice, to where the hierarchy is if you're being violated, you can say something. I mean, you couldn't. I've seen many just things that you cannot believe that go through in those type of things, and a lot of abuses, and people are miserable. And that's why, and I was the most suicidal I've ever been was working at Warner Brothers. And
Wow.
I felt beaten down. I felt like and if I because I was a little bit of a rebel, I had a lot of ideas. I was told to just be quiet all the time, to stay in my lane. I didn't have a voice. My opinion didn't matter. I mean, it was really hard.
We'll come to that in a few points, but just to highlight similar, like the new wave, like you mentioned, the new wave. Look at the past 4 or 5 years and the explosion of podcasts, the alternative media. That's why people they get so fed up from something they call it legacy media. You know what's legacy media, and the source of information now is not anymore dictated by XYZ. I don't want to mention the name, you know them. So that's why now everything is changing. The,
Everything.
the control of the mic is not anymore like free speech. This is what everybody's advocating at now. Even Donald Trump in his speech, he said, I will support the free speech. And that's why people they can speak and speak whatever they are in their mind.
People like you want to create. You have a voice, and now you don't have to go through 10 different hoops and try to sell a TV show. You can grab a mic, you can get some people to help you. That's creative energy. We're all these amazing creative beings. It's wonderful to have that.
I want to take your, I want to take your, I want to see your take in two things. How did you survive that suicidal intention that you have it in your mind, and you turn that negative energy towards a book?
Well, I got, how you have a lot of people say sometimes the term you have to get to the rock bottom. I kind of, even though it wasn't like alcohol, or a drug, I had to get sick and tired of feeling that way. I had to reach some kind of plateau where I really had to say, okay, something has to change. This isn't good.
What is the one thing that you could not take it anymore?
Um, well, I lost my job at Warner Brothers, and it was a big kerfuffle, and I felt completely kicked out of my existence, and they kind of blackballed me for a while, and I was only doing really good things. But what I got kicked out because I was becoming too powerful of a voice,
Yeah.
and they didn't like that because people were listening to me, and I was making change in the industry. And so the big guys came in and said, oh no, we can't have that.
Yeah.
So I had to find a way to kind of come my own way and get back into my power. And I wasn't going to my choice was to lay down and die and go just go into the sunset and nobody ever see me again, or to find my voice and say, no, I was right. And that's why I'm saying it's like the industry's changing, and now people like us are allowed to have a voice, and we're not being told we can't. And that whole journey, though, although it was really hard, I mean, I was bullied. I was threatened. I was threatened. My family was threatened. I'm talking, it's like, it's very scary. We had people jump into my aunt and my mother's household because they're from, the industry
For
to
real?
threaten.
Oh, come on.
Yes.
Okay.
No, it's scarier than you think, because it's like they have a thing that they need to control. But like you said, especially with everything is meant to be like the universe is giving us all these things to open us up. Had COVID helped us have all these podcasts because everybody to have more voices in the
It's
world.
true.
Like, so without COVID, we would have been still stuck in that thing. So the energy is pushing for people to have a voice and to come together, because we need tribe, we need community. People should not be lonely, and especially where I live. And believe it or not, even though we're around a lot of people, so many people are lonely. So many people are bullied. So many people are pushed out of the cool group.
This is what COVID, by the way, this is what COVID have, how can I say, reveal it to the people. It was hidden, but reveal it to the people how much, even this part of the world, how
Yeah.
much people been feeling lonely at that time.
Yeah. So, I mean, I had PTSD because they were coming at me so hard, and I did kind of bend a little bit and just kind of went away for a little while. But then inside, I said, but I still need some internal voice was saying, you have a mission. Like I knew I had this vision of me being on stages. I had these visions of me writing these books. Like it was so in me, and I just first had to find the confidence and self-love because when all these people are coming at you and you're bullied, you start to believe it no matter what, you take on that energy, and I had
It
to
will
fight.
shake your self-confidence and self-worth.
Yeah. So I had to fight to like fall in love with myself, to see how powerful and worthy I was. And then also in a way to forgive them, because they're also all kind of like been indoctrinated in, and to say it wasn't an individual person. It really was just that
It's a
energy that
system. It's a system.
exactly.
It's a
So,
system.
not in a way, I almost couldn't take it personally, is what I'm saying. And when
Mm.
you can take it, if you're not taking it personally anymore, and you bring in a little bit of lightness and say, okay, I'm not going to blame X, Y, and Z. I'm just going to run up that hill with my axe, and I'm just going to keep going and not let that stuff bug me anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, you fall into such a deep seniority. I call it seniority, is like nobody can take that away.
And this is the exact, how can I say, that's the light. Once you have it, it will never fade away.
Yeah.
How long it took you to write the manuscript of the book?
Not very long. Because I
Give us the,
asked.
sorry, I didn't mention the name of the book. If you
Okay.
could you mention the
So
book? Yeah.
well, this one is Surviving Suicidal Ideation.
Mhm.
And it's published by the Swedenborg Foundation. And I wrote it with a trauma-informed therapist, Dr. Amelia Kelly.
Mhm.
And once we got the contract, we wrote it in about 3 months.
3 months. Wow.
Mm-hmm. And we did a chapter a week. I mean, we were just machines. And it was really exciting. And I also did the illustrations. I did like 29 illustrations.
Wow. Because writing a book is not an easy task, to be honest, to begin with. Publishing it, it's a different level.
No, and I like to talk to people about writing, because so many people say, I have a book. I have like, they have a lot of fears around it. You just have to step into your creative energy and do it and believe, and it's in there within you. So get it out, whatever form it is, and don't judge that. Don't have too much expectations on the end goal. Just let it come out of you and flow and create it, and it'll find a home.
If you will go back with the time machine, what was the roadblock you faced it while writing the first, how can I say, the first page of that book? What was the roadblock?
Well, I was going through a massive breakup at the time,
Okay.
and it turned into be kind of traumatic because he stole all my belongings and things like that. So I was sort of using the book as I was writing it. So,
Okay.
and it was really great for me because not one time did I have a suicidal thought, and I was going through one of the worst things I've ever gone through.
Hmm.
So I was like, wow, I really have healed my patterns. I really have healed the way that I speak to myself in such a way that I can't even think that way anymore. I can't even, if I start to think at those dark kind of thoughts, I literally start to giggle, right? And that's the point I really want to get across to people. You can actually reprogram yourself so to love yourself so much that you would, there's kids that self-harm. There's all kinds, the way that I was talking to myself when I was suicidal, anybody would have not liked themselves.
True.
Anybody. And then I started to realize, but I don't talk to that guy like that. I don't talk to my friends like that. Why am I talking to me like that? Why am I holding that energy? No, I felt your energy changes, if you're like, you're stupid, you're never going to be anything. So I had realized that I have control over that, and I'm taking full control over it. So when those thoughts come, whether they're like, you're a failure, you can't do it, or fears, or past things, I was abandoned, I'm unlovable, all that stuff comes in your mind. I go, are you going to hold that energy today? And what good is it? And I talk to myself, and then I kind of weed it out, and then it's gone. And what happens is, just like anything, like if you go to the gym, or and you're working on something, you're going to get better at it over time. And now I'm just to the point where as soon as those thoughts come, I kick them out of my space.
This is what I call it. This is what I call it, harnessing that feeling. The state of mind that you are into it, you can harness it, you can use it, and it can be your superpower to go forward. Actually, but this is, again, it depends on the people and how they set themselves up for failure or for success. This is exactly what I faced it, and I hit rock bottom many times. But again, you learn something, you rise, and you became stronger. And this is exactly what resilience, that always will be your best friend.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ignore that kind of fighting inside you. But this is what I use, and I always tell the people, use that anger as a fuel. Let it be the spark of the fire to get you forward. People, they use fossil fuel. You use your anger, use your frustration.
Industry a different person and with forgiveness, and I want to help transform it because stories are so powerful. I'm writing a 5-book fictional series right now, and I'm looking for an agent, but I've done the things that they told me I couldn't do. I wrote 2 books last year.
Amazing.
I got
Nice.
2 publishing deals. Everybody told me I wouldn't. And so now I have scripts, I have books, and now I'm going back into the industry, a different person. And I've shed all the old stuff, and I want to bring them my light. I want to transform it. And I'm doing it all through family entertainment. And what I mean by that is I'm not really engaging in the, horror films or the dark energies. I really want to bring back laughter. It will all have my vibe or my energy in it, but it's all family entertainment, good stories, uplifting people, ups and downs, like real life. And I think that you'll see the difference of some of the programs that come out in the future out of Hollywood as we transform.
That's amazing. I mean, that's something that we look forward. You keep saying healing journey. Is that terminology of the century?
Yes. But I like, so everybody's at a different, we've all chosen specific themes in life. And say,
Okay.
for example, this thing we chose to be very religious in this one religion, or this thing we chosen to be an atheist, even, whatever theme we've chosen, that's our theme of life, right? But that doesn't, we have, 50 million trillion cells in our body, and every one of these cells holds a little bit of magic and energy in it.
Mhm.
So we have so much power within all of us to either light that energy up with healthy energy, healthy self-speak, what or we can just go down into a cloudy version, the heavy energies, the resentments, the jealousies, the fears, the fatigue. We our bodies are little magical machines, and our minds are too. So it's like, now how do we harness that energy to keep us into that type of energy as most as possible? That could be done through religion, that could be done through atheism, is what I'm saying. It's all energy. So setting a path for yourself, whatever you need to heal, you need to take the healing into your own. And we're really realizing that in the West because we have terrible healthcare system.
Mm.
And we have to put the healing within ourselves. Like, we might be able to see a doctor once a month, and they usher you out in 10 minutes. So it's actually, we have to be in our control of our own healing, whatever it is, whether it's through trauma or a physical thing. Maybe we have chronic fatigue syndrome. Maybe all these things are energies that we have to make a path forward so we can live the best life that we prefer to live.
The, Absolutely. Just following up on that point, maybe this is your opinion. Maybe I will maybe not agree 100%, but this is fine. This is your opinion on it. But I will say it in a different way. I will say it, once you have faith inside you, that can lead you in the way being healthy, having that positive energy to a certain extent, because success in life, it can be temporary. It will give you that satisfaction. It can be temporary. But if something beyond that inside you, have a faith, that beacon, think about it in the, what do you call this series, the movie, it's Lord of the Ring, the beacon of light, something like never fade. That's what, this is what I, just to confirm what you said, the religion part, whereas the faith can play a major role. I have a following question. Why, regarding the book? Book is an art. Writing a book itself is an art. You have used it. Right? Actually, writing the book, you used your trauma, whatever you left on it at that time, to write the actual book. How does creating art in general help the process of healing?
Well, you were talking about spiritual and the light, right? I don't believe we do anything alone.
Sure.
I am actually very spiritual, and I have a lot of faith in many different categories. I work with all those beautiful energies, right? But I
Yeah,
like to not exclude anybody. That's why I talk about it's
absolutely.
open to everybody. But so I believe that all creation, like my book, was not just done with me, was
Hmm.
done for many other energies that wanted to help me execute it. And
Hmm.
what I mean by that is even the publishing company is the Swedenborg Foundation. The head of the Swedenborg Foundation was in the 16th century, and he was this amazing theologian and mystic, and named Emanuel Swedenborg. And he literally energetically would come to me when I was writing, and I would feel him, and he would help guide me to the next phase, because the world needed to hear this information. And as long as I was committed to doing it, I would get the spiritual support that I needed to execute these things into the world. And through that process of letting my heart be open to hearing those messages and being in this space uh, that I created around the book, I was able to flow it just more effortlessly.
Hmm.
And that's the part of where healing comes, and you start to feel that. It feels so, oh my gosh, I could just, anybody who's not feeling good about their life right now, I'd love to just send you this mental image if I could, but it feels so, when it's like bathing in the light of love, and it's just so beautiful. It makes you want to cry. It feels so cleansing. You feel so held, and you're alone, but you're not really, we're really, none of us are ever alone. And when you really start to feel and see that, and know that you're a part of it, that you realize you are meant to be here, that this day is very important, and you're changing every single day, and that's a wonderful thing.
You mentioning it in a way that I only, in my mind, it's a be aware about yourself.
Yes,
A lot of
that's all.
people, a lot of people lives in either delusion or empty. They could be the wealthiest. They could be the, I don't know, in the top of the hierarchy. They could be on the bottom of the ladder, but they are empty. They are not aware about anything. That's why they have no sense of energy. There is nothing to heal. There is nothing, actually. This is the problem. And I faced a lot of people like that. And to be honest, I say I feel sorry for you because you got nothing inside you. You're empty. You got nothing. You get nothing to give, nothing to share, nothing to treasure. And this is bad, to be honest. This could be the worst. I'm sure you have seen that. You have seen people like that. I'm sure. Life is
Oh
full
my
of these.
goodness. Yes, yes. And I usually just lean into their light too, because it's so dimmed. There is something in there, but it's been so it's almost like that light is just barely, they always will have a flicker of light. And so I really tried to like look into them and try to and light that light back for them so they can all of a sudden wake in their eyes, because the more people that become aware of their own power and their own healing, so we all get a healing. So we really want a collective to heal. We really do. It starts with the individual and for you, but we really want it to spill out like a drop in the river, and the ripples ripping out. We really want it to be contagious, and we don't want sad people who are walking around like you were describing to me, almost feels like a zombie. But there is a tiny light in there. We need to ignite that as much as possible, like, or at least pray that they get there.
I'm laughing because I have been told by someone saying, why you are always looking positive? Why you have always saying everything is good, everything is good. And I said, everything is good. Sometimes you have a good day, sometimes you have a bad day. But again, it's up to you how to choose to feel good or bad again. There you go. It's similar about that. Anyway, that was a deal, I think. In my previous episode, I have discussed a conflict resolution. And one of the elements I have discussed is approaching the conflict without prejudgment or criticism. How did you manage to create space for people to feel safe, to share their struggle, and then you can help them?
I think conflict resolution should be taught in schools. It is
Yeah.
really important, and it's a practice, and it's about
It is a
listening and
skill, to
also,
be honest. It's a skill, to be
yeah.
honest. Yeah.
I mean, if they could have in these classrooms where they put the two kids together and they give them a problem and make them learn how to communicate and resolve it, we would be a much better world. This is what should be taught, because problem solving, because there's not anybody who doesn't have a conflict coming in today, whether it's small or medium or big. That's life. So if you don't learn how to deal with conflict and you run away from problems, you are going to constantly be you're going to get resistance in your life, and then you're going to be miserable, and then you're going to become like this victim energy where it's like, why does everything bad always happen to me? But you have to take accountability. You're creating that own resistance because you are so righteous and that you're right. We have such a big problem here, especially in America. Like, I'm right. I know the truth. And there's so many different variations of the truth. There's like, that means that everybody else is wrong in that one category. That is not the energy of community or unity, and it's not going to help anybody. We're not going to get anywhere. If we all want to live in a better society for our children, we need to communicate. We need to understand other people's sides, and that there's different versions of the truth. You know what I mean? So conflict resolution is absolutely huge. And
it's a skill being missing in this part. I mean, in this century, especially when people, they have either how can I say, adapted the failure mindset or victim mindset. So they play bold and they start attacking the other person when it comes to a conflict without being open to just listen to the other person's story. However, what I have seen from successful people, really, to be honest, when they adapt the growth mindset, things change. Absolutely change. A conflict could be the bedrock, the stepping stone for a more, how can I say, fruitful relationship when it comes to business, to community, and so on and so forth. But it's here. It's the mindset, how you approach things. If you approach it with a distraction mind, good luck. You've already written the end of the story because nothing will happen. But when you try to, how can I say it, approach it with a growth mindset. Yes, it's a challenge. Yes, it's not easy, but approach it with a growth mindset that this might be something good out of this. So for
Well,
this reason, yeah.
yes, I've had my whole life has been a lot of conflict with people because I was changing a lot, right? So I would have friends that I, you know, had spent a lot of time with when I was one version of me, but as I was growing and maybe they weren't really growing, I was growing out of people, but I took that as maybe me failing because, oh, I'm failing at this relationship. But no, I just kind of grew out of the energy. I grew out of them. And that was not a bad thing for me or them. But so not judging that we might not all be at the same place at the same time and letting yourself still go in the new direction without I used to self-pity myself a lot. And when I realized that, I went, oh my gosh, I would just say, how come I didn't get the family I wanted? How come I used to live next to this big Italian family and I couldn't have kids. And I just would sit there and I felt like it was punishment. Like I had to watch what I wanted and from afar and couldn't have it. And I would just feel this like victim or pity energy. And
Yeah.
no wonder I was miserable. That's not the way to get me that thing. I'm never going to get that thing if I sat in that energy. But I didn't realize I was doing that to myself. So once I realized, like, oh my gosh, like I'm doing that to myself. I can have that if I really want it. But yeah, the self-pity. And so it's realizing where you are. Like everybody has something, especially when they're going through a healing journey, like I was saying, is like knowing it and listing it out. And self-pity was on the top of my list.
I have a follow-up question. When you say energy healing, it seems sometimes misunderstood. Some of the listener maybe they are not familiar with. Just explain it in a simple terms for the people, because there is a lot of fluff about energy. About honestly, I'm not a big fan of it, but just for the listener, in a simple terms, what does it mean for you, like energy?
I mean, it's quite scientific. Like I live with a doctor,
Okay.
and she explains like, you know, we all have all the energy going in our cells as a body, as a collective,
Absolutely.
right? And so we have a buzz coming off of us, right?
It's true.
Just like that plant has a buzz at energy, the ocean has a buzz and energy. So that's the energy we're talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it flows, and you can either feel that energy, lovely colors of like turquoises and reds and blues and pinks, like the energy of that, right? Even if you close your eyes and think of pink, it's going to be different. And if you think of dark purple, right? You energetically will go to that dark purple, which is more of a heavier energy, right? Or if you want to bring in more light, you have to be into that. That's what energy to me is. I do a color chart in my next book, and we do color flushing where we turn a whole body into a certain color, and you can feel on the inside when you switches the colors, like from happiness, like bright yellow is joy and strength and positivity, down to like a dark red where that's where anger is and resentment and things like that. So
no, with the colors, I believe with it, because a lot of industries they use it to target audiences, and sometimes because I do digital marketing as well, and sometimes selecting specific colors it how can I say, it hits your unconscious brain with a certain messages that, so definitely colors, I know it does play a big role with the
But
psyche.
that's why I like to, people are very, I think they say like 89% of people are visual. And that's
Yes.
why color, colors, when we do meditations and I say, okay, think of this color, people can relate to it, and it helps them shift by working with color meditation.
Interesting. Interesting. You have spoken to audiences from veterans to corporate teams. Storytelling, how much it was doing you good favor at that moment, and do you think it's a skill? Can people learn it?
Of course, you can learn anything you want to learn, period. If that's what your soul is pulling you towards, you can learn it. For me, storytelling is being authentic and instantly getting to the heart of the matter, and to express the I always have a moral to my books, or my, even if it's fiction, even my movies and stuff. There always has to be a higher moral that I'm trying to show to people.
Mhm.
And I storytelling's been told since the beginning of man, right? Why is it there? It's because we like to dream and we like to create. And when we create, we go into an energy. Even when we're watching, we can decide to envelop. It's not a passive thing, is what I'm saying. It might be, you might just be sitting there and having it in the background. But when you really go into a story, that's why you love like a certain TV show or something. You actually go into the creation of it and the gooiness of it, and you become a part of it, and it highlights different parts of your soul that speak to you. And those also can give you like inspiration, like, oh my gosh, I want to start working out, or oh my gosh, I want to start, so storytelling is a wonderful thing. It should never, and I hope it never goes away.
For me, I think about the storytelling. I've been asked this question. The cornerstone of that is being genuine.
Yes, that's why the first thing out of my mouth was
Authenticity.
authentic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because yeah, because you can create any story, but awakened mind, they will pick up that that's just fake. It's not genuine.
Yeah.
And this is sometimes makes books really bestsellers, or sometimes just it's a good food for the fire. The time is flying with you, Gina, and we are almost at the end of this interview. It's amazing, amazing. I have a couple of questions before we end up this episode. I can see that you are working on a lot of projects and books and documentaries and so on. What does it excite you to keep going?
Um, Gosh, I wake up, I've gotten to a point where I've healed so much that I wake up every day and I'm just like, what is today going to bring me? Really, and the thing, and just to be in that space, I'm just so much grateful to have the day, and know that even if I have challenges, um, I'm still going to experience something. And so it makes my life a little bit lighter. And when you get in, and then I can be inspired. So if I might decide to write a chapter today, or I might decide to go organize my storage, neither of them are more. Go in with my heart and where I want to be that day. So I'm not, you know what I mean? It's like everything that you can put love into, even the things that seem very mundane, cleaning out a refrigerator, say, or something like mundane. But if it gives you that sense of accomplishment, and while you're there, you're maybe dreaming of stories. I'm just saying that every little thing, when you put magic in every little thing you do, your day will change, your life will change, because it's just like, okay, I get to redo my storage today, instead of seeing things as so um put them in buckets of good and bad. All of it can have
Eh,
some good.
if you put a purpose behind it, then it will be meaningful. I know a lot of people, they go for a walk not only for the activity, but their brain process a lot of stuff while they are walking. And this is one of the advices, honestly, I advise people with it. So, like, if you have something you want to get it sorted, if your brain is all over the place and you want to get things organized, go for a walk. Just go for a walk. 15, 20 minutes, half an hour. As much, once your thoughts are calm, is the time to go home.
Well, you need to have your own toolkit. And this is what I teach in my books. And it's specific to you. And so when I was going through PTSD, I literally had to put a speaker next to my bed that would play the ocean or meditation music, because the PTSD would come up and it would start to physically shake me. And there wasn't anything I could do with it because I was still, whatever was happening, I was triggered, right? And that is a form of energy, right? And so I go, okay, I have to have some music on. And so I have it on a low hum almost all the time. And I don't even realize it's changed my vibe in my room, my working office and stuff. Just like, oh, and if I start to get anxious, like all of a sudden I get calm. Oh yeah, the ocean, I can hear it. So I realized that was a tool for me. But what do you need as an individual, and map that out and have that ready and available to you at all time, anytime you need.
It's the time is over, honestly, and this is what I appreciate. This kind of interviews, because people, they can see you in 4 dimension, they can hear you, they can see the energy comes from the guest face, the pronunciation, what words they use. This is, I think, keep the memory more profound, and it stick to you. Reading a book is good, but these kind of interviews, it's more resonate. Saying so, if you could leave our listener with one message about how they can break the cycle of failure, what would it be? I know it's a big question.
I know. First off is not seeing anything as a failure, even the worst things you can imagine, seeing the lessons in them and really unpacking the lessons and trying to understand that with awareness and kindness to yourself, love for yourself. You have to take care of yourself first. Believe me, especially like, say, for women, they in my area, they feel like if they take care of themselves, they're neglecting their kids or their husband or their partner or whatever. It's like, first you have to have self-love. You have to take care of yourself first. It will reverberate with everyone around you. It's not being selfish to take care of yourself. So put that plan in place of healing and whatever you need, and that negative self-talk, and try to program that out of you, and so you can live the best life, and it will help all the people around you.
Well, thank you very much for this insightful episode, Gina, and thank you for making the time to share your story with us. Really appreciate it. And to our listener,
understand it pretty well.
you're welcome. And to our listener, if Gina's story today was a reminder that even in the life's darkest moment, there is a way forward. Her courage to share her experience today with you guys and created tools for healing through her books is nothing short of inspiring. If Gina's stories today touched you, please take a moment and share it. Share this episode with people, someone who he might need to hear it, and there is a lot. You never know the impact of such an episode could be on these people. And of course, don't forget her books. I will share the links of these books in the video description. And remember, you are never alone. I always say, and this podcast is for you guys, there is always a light at the end of the tunnel. And there is always someone, honestly, there is always someone is willing to speak with you and to walk with you through it. So until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Stay focused, stay motivated, and keep striving for success. I'll see you in the next episode. Keep winning. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.